this session,
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! Is anybody playing a door?
join our adventure party as we delve into the social and cultural aspects of our favorite game, all while enlightening our taste buds with a random craft beer. So crack open your favorite bardic inspiration and roll initiative with us of Dice and Brews. All right, friends, welcome back to another session of Dice and Brews. It's Ben, also known as the Forever DM. I got a great show for you guys today. I actually brought some of the people that I ooh and ah about all the time
Oh my god, he oohs and ahs about us.
to be part of my party on this episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the table. I'm going to start with the Hawaiian freak himself.
Ah, that's me.
Justin, tell the people a little bit about yourself and how we met.
Yes, my
tell
name
them about
is...
that walk on the beach where we held hands.
Oh, we were just over there. I just saw him in his Speedo, and I was like, I gotta get some of that action.
It was a purple one.
Yes, it was beautiful. But anyways, my name is Justin. I'm also known as Hawaiian Freak on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes. Please check me out. I play heavy metal music, and I also happen to be a Hawaiian.
And he's a DM for all your Eddie fans out there.
A moderate DM. But yes, we met up on a Facebook message when you guys needed a player that bailed out, I think.
Yeah,
And-
so I was searching we had 4, and I was looking for that one ring to rule them all.
I think Brandon hit me up because I remember it popping up on the Facebook group, and I hit that up because I really wanted to play D&D badly.
Yeah, because at the time you told me that you were DMing for a group, then you were running Curse of Strahd.
Oh, yes, that was right. And you just reminded me how long ago it's been since we've played. This kind of took over. We just stopped.
I'm glad that you bailed on your players to come be a player in my campaign, just saying.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, players. We met up at a game shop and we got to know each other on session 0, and it kicked off pretty well. We kind of got gist of what we wanted to do, what we were expecting about the game, and Ben was so great at explaining what to expect and how open this game was going to be in the sense of just playing off of each other.
Yeah,
Great DM, guys.
Oh, stop it. Quit it. Just stop.
Okay, I'll stop.
So when we all got together, 4 of the guys who, like the other 4 are not at this table right now, honestly, but I wanted a 5th player just in case that one person was unavailable for 1 week. Because the worst part about putting together D&D sessions is player absence, inconsistency. It's so much easier when you have that 5th to still run a 4 spot. So I was like, hey, I want one more. And they're like, no, 4 is fine. No, it's 4 is fine. And I was like, no, I want one more. So then Justin was the first one to hit us up and respond, actually. So welcome, Justin. Justin, the Hawaiian Freak. Next, Lucas, the Hurt Monster.
Ooh, the Hurt Monster.
Howdy. Yeah, so I'm Lucas. I've been playing D&D for about 6 years now. But me and Ben met under terrible circumstances.
Guys, you remember a couple sessions ago when I told you that I had this experience in Nevada? This is the man, the myth, the legend right here.
Standing by us.
We just happened to meet both as players with this overly controlling DM who would only communicate via email. He refused to
That was
communicate.
like one of the weirdest things, by the way, is like, who in the fuck only communicates through email? Like, not even text message. Email?
Oh, he said Messenger was too hard.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and he also created our characters for us for session 1.
You did?
But then he didn't remember any of the remember any of the details that he gave us. So me and Lucas are sitting there and we're living the role play aspect and we're playing up to our like little secrets that he gave us. And he's like, "What are you guys fucking doing?" And we're like, "Dude, you gave us this paragraph on the back of the character sheet." It was fucking the weirdest session ever.
But me and Ben quickly realized this was not the spot for us, but we recognized each other. And we were like, hey, I think
just
we need to
loved
take
looking
this.
into his eyes as well, you know.
It was love at first sight, everybody.
Oh,
It was.
man.
There was tweeting birds and everything.
But no, me and Ben were talking about a campaign for a while, but we fell off for a little bit. Obviously, personal life comes into everything. But then he hit me up. He was like, "Hey, Lucas, I got this campaign I'm about to be running." And I was like, "I can't. I'm in 4 other campaigns right now." But the interest got me. And
Yeah, he was like that dog on the commercial. He's like, what was in there? Oh, yes? The bacon kind?
he said, "Horror theme? World on the brink of destruction?"
Not the Forgotten Realms?
Oh, and I just couldn't resist. And I got to meet up at the game shop where I got to meet Justin and all the other players that we currently play with.
Yeah, we'll meet them at another time. Honestly, the only reason that these guys are here tonight is because we were supposed to be playing tonight, but thanks, Brandon, for having to be absent in the most dire of circumstances where we need Eldritch Blast. Jesus.
You guys won't get to see my character yet. Next time.
That's a
next
different
time.
episode. That's a different episode.
The suspense.
So, yeah, and then last but not least, Miss Deanna.
Hi. Yep. So I also met Ben on a Facebook group.
Guys, I'm not a
just-
stalker. I promise you. I don't search these.
Yes,
I don't
he
search
is.
these people out online. You know.
I just moved here and I got onto the Facebook D&D group and I said, "Hey, is anybody looking for an additional player?" Blase, blase.
And immediately everybody went to her profile and was like, "Yeah, I'm getting this chick
Oh my
in my
God.
game right now."
I had a few suitors.
And you happened to hit me up like, Justin, you know this person?
No,
we happen
that-
to be
that came
friends.
yeah, that came
Yeah,
later.
Justin
Hold
and
on.
I
Yeah.
knew each other, for many years, like what, 10 years?
It was at the beginning, we were like, how did we meet?
It was high school? No, we found out later. We thought it was high school for a while.
But it was the haunted house.
We worked at a haunted house together.
That was the one.
Yeah.
So it was love at first fright.
Ooh, but
Love at first fright.
That's your next metal collaboration.
Yes, and now that needs to happen. And then I got brought on. I thought Ben was great, and then the first session I was hooked. I loved everybody at the table. It felt right. It was just such a great
Honestly, the best group.
by
Yeah.
By far.
By
I've
far.
never like, and I ooh and ah about you guys all the time. Like, I've never been a part of a group where there's like not been
Aw.
some kind of apprehension towards, at least between two people. It just feels like in this group, everybody knows who's taking the lead, who needs to go by the wayside, or when the lead needs to be taken up, and the roles just like fall into place like every session. And the best part about it, like, it seems like every session it's a different person. You know, like
Mhm.
sometimes Justin will be like, "Hey, let's push things along a little bit," or Lucas will ask the questions like he always does.
those.
Oh.
But
Sorry.
even
Hint,
Deanna
hint.
has taken things into her own hands at times, which is amazing because that's what you want, because that's what players do.
Breaking hearts.
I want to
And
mention
stabbing
that
them.
Oh, man.
I do want to mention that with this group, I think everyone can agree, like in a normal D&D setting, when you start out, you're always going to your best friends or family or whatnot, people you already know. This is a group where no one really knew each other, and it just clicked really flawlessly. And
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
guess that's my message to people trying to get in and afraid of playing with new players that you don't know outside of your circle. Definitely give it a shot. But at the same time, I'm thinking in my head, you had the nightmare D&D session, so I'm actually going to take that one back. You never know what you're going to
Yeah,
get.
it's like a box of chocolates. Right? But also, you'll quickly find that with you guys and with the other people at our table, like, your play group becomes your best friends.
Mhm.
To be
Mhm.
honest with you, like, I invite you guys to events that happen in my normal family life. This is not just a D&D exclusive things. I actually care about you guys genuinely as people and what happens in your everyday lives. And if you need help, I'm there for you. Just as we've seen that everybody in this group, and
Just recently.
we have 8 of
Yeah.
us, and we all answer the call. It's quite remarkable. I think we're the exception to the rule and not the rule. Like, I'm
Yeah.
truly blessed to be a part of your guys' lives and have you guys a part of mine for sure.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, what do you guys think about podcast life so far? I know, Justin, you have
A little
dabbles
bit. Yeah,
into and you do music and stuff like that, but you other two guys had like the sound of your own voices in the headsets.
Oh, still treading water over here. I'm trying to figure it all out. Not a huge fan of my own voice, but
I'm telling you, they're going to love it. You're going to be so shocked and so in love with it.
He's gonna be like, "Hey, are you doing another episode next week?"
I need to
I'd
hear
like
his
to come
voice
by.
again. Come on.
you got
please.
any of those podcasts?
mean, I talk on the phone for a living every day, so I'm used to hearing my own
Now you're
voice.
cooking with butter.
Oh, man. Inside jokes are fun.
Not real life at all.
Mm-mm. Never once.
So I'm gonna go back around the table again. And Justin, how long have you been playing D&D? Like, when did you start? What's your experience? I know you said that you DM'd a little bit. Did you primarily DM or play player primarily? Say that a lot. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I started back, let's see, I think it was 2010 and 2012. I was in 4th edition. That's when my buddy got me in, and I was a player. Very fresh, very green, not knowing how this all worked. Why I like this game so much is it acts like a movie, and I love movies. And finding out that you take control where the direction goes, but the fate of the dice determined how well that went, just made it so entertaining and drawing. But just stayed as a player, and then eventually I was like, you know what, I have this idea. I tried a homebrew for my first DM session. It went pretty well for a while, but I think it only lasted like 10 sessions.
That's still longer than most campaigns last. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of campaigns fizzle out around 3rd, 4th, 5th level, somewhere around there, which is probably like the 8, 9, 10 mark. But honestly, I've run a lot of dead end campaigns where it's and interest falls off just because of normal life.
That's how it usually goes, and it's unfortunate, but just part of the D&D lifestyle.
Here today, campaign tomorrow.
But it again, I'm just thinking about this group that we're in right now. All depends on the click with every single person. Currently, what we're at now is amazing. But going back to what I went to and getting into D&D, after my first DM session, I got back to playing a character again, and then I decided to try out some of the modules that D&D people. Why am I not thinking of the name? Wizard of the Coast.
Yeah.
They put out. I tried those out, and
D&D people.
I was like, why is it?
Those
I was tip my
people.
tongue, and nope, it's gone. But I decided to.
Where'd you put your tongue?
In the butter.
I decided to check out more modules and everything, and I kept reading that Curse of Strahd was the popular one. I was like, I'll give it a shot, and then I found out about virtual tabletops. Actually, I didn't tell you, I ran Curse of Strahd twice, and none of them finished. First one was on Tabletop
You
Simulator.
know how many times I've ran Lost Mines of Phandelver?
Mm.
At least 5. At
For
least
me, it was
5.
only once.
You're lucky. Now they're releasing a whole campaign book around that. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. Coming out later next year. Phandelver gets its own campaign book,
Oh, shit.
its own adventure.
Mm.
Yes, we're going back to Phandelver.
Where it all began.
So, Justin, tell me, what's your favorite D&D memory so far in your whole journey of adventures?
I gotcha. It was when I was playing 4th edition. I was my barbarian named Koa, and it was the last session. Everyone knew, like, things happen with people's lives. It's going to be the last session. We're just going to end it with whatever we want to do in the game. So we made it a party. We gathered everybody around the towns and just made a whole festival out of it. And everyone rolled with certain things that happened throughout the party. I rolled to fight people or like a gambling brawl. I rolled to see how hot women were and how many women I took home with me and how much I could drink all these players out and all these NPCs. And I kept rolling high. There was nothing below a 17. I kept rolling high on everything. I'm like, I am having such a good time. And then it came to the final thing. My DM was like, okay, just an overall thing about how your night was. Just roll it. Everyone's rolling, 14, 12, 18. It came to me like, I had such a good time. And I rolled a nat 1.
So how many women did you really take home with you?
So,
Or were they really women?
here's what my DM made up.
Orcs. They
Here's,
were all
here's what he made
orcs.
up. I wake up hungover, and the sun's beaming in my eyes. I'm like, where am I? Where are my clothes? And I realize I'm on a boat in the middle of the lake, and I see the whole party laughing at me from across the shore. And then I'm like, what the hell? And I turn around, and the same guy I brawled and beat, who was bigger than me, was also naked next to me. I was like, I see. And all my equipment's gone. Oh, no. And I had to do the paddle of
Were
shame
you
as the
big
whole...
spoon or little spoon?
I think I was the little tablespoon. A paddle of shame. But that was my favorite D&D moment because of how much fun I was having rolling and just seeing all the outcomes that came out of it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. So tell me, like, in all your D&D adventures so far, what's one thing that you haven't come across or that you're waiting for to happen or you're looking forward to happen? Whether it be like a monster that you want to fight or a story arc that you want to complete or something like that. Like, what's one thing in D&D that you hear about that you really want to happen?
I got an answer for that. We all want to fight those big monsters. We want to find that epic artifact or something just magnificent in D&D when you dig deep into the whole of the lore and the rules and whatnot. For me, the reason why I stay with D&D is the story aspect, the arcs in the story, the turns that it takes because of how we roll the die. I really want to have that moment when you go watch a certain adventure movie. I love adventure movies so much, and this is the ultimate adventure movie. My character will do something so inspiring or just says the right thing that famous movie would do that just sticks
The
out
thing
so
that
well.
lives in infamy, like when they're like, did you hear about Justin in the Technicolor Coat of Dreams? Did you remember when he said this?
And then he did that epic thing. Like I'm just waiting for that one moment where everyone's jaw dropped and we're just like, "Damn, Justin, that was epic."
I feel like that's
shit.
happened a couple times at our table already.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've had some of those moments. Maybe not your moment, but we've had.
I
some
may have
people
painted it
moments.
in my head already.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it kind of like the overall hero?
At least, like with our campaign right now, we're all having our certain big bad guys. So we're gonna have our own moments. I feel like when it comes to the downfall of our bad guy, we work together, but there's a personal vendetta or whatever thing that's gonna add to that for you as yourself as the character doing his or her story arc.
There's definitely a lot of bad guys in our campaign. Jesus. Like I took a step back the other day and I looked at it and I was like, wow, you guys hate a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate you. I'm not sure yet. Like, this is crazy. So, moving on. Lucas, tell me what your favorite D&D memory is from all your journey.
Ooh, so it was a bit of a higher level campaign. Usually you don't get into like the 11th level and 12th level area.
Yeah, I've never been there.
Yeah.
Who has?
Most campaigns
Right.
fizzle out.
10th level? Get the shit out of here.
But
Talking trash.
there we were in Waterdeep, and they had this City of the Undead area, and there was a necromancer, right? There's always a necromancer doing some kind of
Motherfuckers
thing.
are like rats.
Yeah.
Necromancers.
Uh,
Skeletons.
he had brought forth a red dragon as well, and I, to this point, had never fought a red dragon.
Was it a big one?
It was an ancient.
An ancient
Mm.
one. Ooh.
The only problem is that the necromancer also had my character's father. So we had to gather these 3 orbs that the necromancer wanted, and we were trying to keep it from him. But it was also what we needed to stop him. The necromancer really only needed 1 orb,
You did it, didn't you?
and
You gave him an orb, huh?
he reached out to me.
Son of a
and
bitch.
He offered me what I had always wanted in a campaign was a moral choice. I wanted a character defining choice of what would you really do in this
You either
situation.
die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
And our party was really close, and I didn't want to betray them, but at the same
Were
time,
you ever Little Spoon?
so in that campaign, I was a changeling. So
You were all the spoons.
I was all the spoons. I ended up slightly betraying the party, slight betrayal, to see if I can get my father back, because my character had been building this up since we started at level 5, and
Wait, you guys started at level 5?
we did. We
That's
started.
fucking blasphemy.
I know we didn't start the
can't
typical
say
level 1.
that you ran an 11th level campaign if you didn't start from level 1. So really, you're only level 6. Come on, that's how it goes.
We would never have made it there if we started level 1.
You fucking cheated.
What ensued was this absolute chaos of us having to fight a red dragon, but my party was trying to subdue me without killing me. So I didn't give the orb to the necromancer. The necromancer was bringing in more guys at the same time, and it was this absolute brawl of a situation, of which I came to my senses. I've been with these guys for too long. These are my friends. I'll figure out another way to get my father.
I got a new daddy.
And we killed the red dragon. We killed the necromancer. Unfortunately, they were both minions to a bigger, badder, evil guy.
There's always a bigger
There's
curtain.
always a bigger fish, right?
And so, yeah. So I,
That's because
unfortunately,
you killed him too fast. The DM was like, you know what? Now I need somebody else.
yeah. And unfortunately, that was when I was moving away from San Antonio, and so I did not get to continue. But I found out what happened at the end, and they were TPK'd against the actual big bad guy.
Ooh, there's slime in there.
Asshole DM.
They were level 16, and they were TPK'd, unfortunately.
That shit happens when you're level 16. I remember when I was 16. Years of age, not levels. Never been 16 levels. But I probably should have been TPK'd when I was 16 years of age a couple times. Now that you've told us your favorite D&D memory, what's one thing left on your bucket list for D&D? Like, what's one thing that you want to happen in a campaign that you play in, or that you think about and you're like, when I play D&D, I want this. This is how
I really want to, at some point, take the shadow support role of a party, and I really want to lift up my party to the maximum ability and just stay in the shadows. I don't need a storyline. I don't need a big bad guy of my own. I don't need any kind of goals. And I want to be able to be there and help out every single person achieve what their character wants to be. So that's like one of the big goals for myself of what I wanted to do in D&D. And I just
Do you want to do what I do for a living and be a roadie? That's exactly what I do.
Is that what that is?
That's pretty much it.
See, I think your definition of
Support
roadie and my
the main
definition of
person.
roadie are maybe two different things.
Some people would call what he wants to do a prostitute, Justin.
Oh, there's that too. You can go that route. Pays more.
I've heard it depends on how good you are.
Well, the way you talk with that silvery tongue, who could fucking resist?
Power bottom.
Power bottom.
Power bottom.
Remember those inside jokes I was telling you about and silliness when you give your players agency? Welcome to my nightmare.
Go ahead and
That's
tell
really
your grandpas at home that you are a power bottom, everybody.
Listen, we talk about butter, we ask questions, and we are the power bottoms.
Hey.
Definitely a group
Hey.
name for sure. All right, to Deanna now. And
Pass.
what's your favorite D&D memory? I know that your journeys haven't been as vast as these guys, but tell me, like, what's one memory that sticks out in your head? Is bar none. When I look back on it, this is my favorite part of everything.
Not even to be cheesy, but really our last session. I loved it so much.
That's because she wasn't that drunk.
She remembered it all.
She
For
was the
once.
star.
She did steal the show at the end of it. I'm not even gonna lie.
She did.
Thank
That was
you.
epic.
Thank you.
Good job.
Oh, thank you so much. I was actually real proud
The
of that.
DM is not usually surprised, but I was fucking shocked. Like, what'd you just do?
Go ahead, tell it.
No,
like,
don't do that.
The slightest bit of background. I'm a 3-foot forest gnome who habitually collects things such as rocks and leaves and anything I can find. I'm tiny and friendly, and I have a slight gambling problem.
Welcome to
We're
Las
still talking
Vegas.
about your character,
Yeah,
or
And I also have a boyfriend who has recently been imprisoned, and I'm heartbroken over this. I also had my memories of home and how to get there taken from me.
This is not my fault, by the way.
This is 100% the DM's fault.
You guys rolled the dice. Just saying.
So we came up to this huge battle. How long were we in the battle? What, 3 hours?
It was like 5 hours.
It was
It
long.
was
It was-
long.
it
Ju- just the battle itself was the whole day.
The
We're
Yeah.
looking
whole
at like
session,
30
yeah.
enemies out there.
It
Yeah.
was intense.
You guys rolled those too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It was intense. I mean, 90% of us were close to death. I was very close to death. One character
I was very, very, very
Dead.
very dead.
Just
I-
dead.
I was down to
I
cantrips.
died, everybody.
I had no spell slots left.
There was an opportunity.
So let me paint the backstory real
Yeah.
quick. So you guys went to this town and you're trying to liberate the people of this town, and there's an old adventuring party that resides there, and they're kind of trying to help, or they gave you the facade that they were trying to help. And there's a Kenku Bard, which was like one of my favorite NPCs ever. Like, just saying. He offered to go with you on this journey where you guys went to this burrow to find this druid warlord and talk to him about what he knows about these standing stones and stuff like that. But the elves in the place are also hostile against the people in the village. When you talk about battles and stuff like that, you guys were fighting the elves because they were pissed. So after you guys defeated the elves, there was a chance where you guys were talking to the Kenku Bard, and the Bard actually had been trying to drive a spike through the relationship of the wizard, played by Lucas, and the party itself.
And he was making a good point.
Y'all didn't believe me, and I was right.
Oh, I believed you.
So then, okay.
I'm glad you did.
And it's funny because I feel like our characters have this kind of tit for tat. You know, we go back. We have a great back and forth.
There's very much tit for tat.
You mean we cast sleep on each other to drop each other into mud? Yes.
Exactly.
So anyway, pick it up from there. The Bard is trying to drive the spike between Tarek, who's the wizard, and the party, and try to segregate them and split them up a little bit.
And my character having a gambling addiction, I was kind of just playing with my dice in the tray as one does towards the end of a 5-hour battle. And I thought, okay, if I land on an odd, I will do nothing. If I land on an even, I'm going to go kill this Bard.
You were making decisions off the die, like, secretly.
Yeah, she told me that, and I was like blown away when she told me that.
Right. Now I'm blown away by that. Wow.
So I
fucking
picked
D&D and your unlimited fucking chances.
So I rolled, and I told Ben, I said, hey, I want to talk to you.
She seduced him. Not gonna lie, she seduced him.
Hey there, Kenku. Come over here.
I did. I said, I want to talk to you behind the tree real quick. And he said, all right. All right, mates. I'll be right back.
Fuck this conversation.
And he leaves, and I said, I get close to him.
Yeah, your words were, I stab him in the heart.
And I stab him in the heart.
Literally.
And I attempt to carve out his heart. And I see Brandon put his hands on his head, and he's, what?
Yeah.
And he's shaking his head, and everyone's, some people
I saw that. I was
still
jaw dropped. Like, what are you doing?
Tarek was so vindicated in that moment.
My
in
best
this
friend
moment-
or my worst enemy has become my best friend.
Right.
In this moment, I really was not vindictive in any way. I wasn't that violent in any way. I mean, firebolt everything, pretty much.
I set it on fire.
And so I felt like my character had enough and was angry. And I thought, okay, how's Lamora going to take out her anger? I feel like she's going to stab this person in the heart. And I did. And then what happened, Ben? Go ahead.
Look
what
how
happened?
it paid off.
Yeah. So,
Mind you, I'm close to death. What was I at?
I think
One
it was
hit point?
like 2, I believe.
Yeah.
It was really, you were really close.
I'm on save throws right now, but
The Bard ended up being a Varrock, which is a demon in D&D terms. And she exposed the BBEG, the big bad evil guy. A session too early, but you know what? When players take control and tell the best story, it ends up being even more climactic than you even planned it.
Oh, Ben had to stop, and he said, hold on. And he actually left the table and ran upstairs to go get his character to bring it down.
He already printed out the character. I was like, oh my God.
Fresh printout.
Yeah, so there was actually like a red herring type. There was a tiefling in the village who was the leader of the party, and you guys thought and he was a blood mage.
Mm-hmm.
You guys thought that was the bad guy, and then all of a sudden it turns out the guy traveling with you the whole time ends up being the puppet master, the person pulling all the strings, which Tarek knew that they were bad from the beginning, Lucas's wizard Tarek. But the fact that the Bard was able to drive those wedges between the party, it just made that whole session. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, like, this is probably the most quickest, easy flowing 5-hour combat I've ever played in my life, where by the end of it, I was still into it. Mm-hmm. Even as a DM. And then on top of that, it was kind of cinematic. Like, we had role play points inside the combat where it went really well. And there were so many different levels of this combat. There was vertical combat with the birds. There was multiple enemy combats. There was the Hickey Man.
The Hickey
Man.
Man.
Oh my God, the Hickey Man. Get up off me.
But there was a lot of different combats. And then, unfortunately, one of our players, Justin's Turtle Barbarian, did perish in the battle.
Yep, I died. I got squished.
Yeah, but
R.I.P.
that's what
Drew.
happens when the wizard vortex warps the turtle.
Oh.
We had a plan,
Oh.
but
I just want to say, I need to defend myself. I put a barbarian on top of a spellcaster. I don't know a better situation that could have been in. Then I put the bear-shaped.
Summons a treant.
Yeah, I had no idea you could do that. Then I put a wild-shaped druid in bear form on top of the spellcaster.
Oh, you did do that.
I did, and I was like, man, solid. I got a barbarian and a bear sitting on the spellcaster. I'm gonna handle the rest of these guys while that's going on. And then I learned that my barbarian died.
Oh.
Yep.
Turtle soup.
And what did you guys do? What did you guys try to do?
Okay, so I don't know about
Yes.
anybody out there that like whenever a player drops, like there's like this moment of like sympathy. Oh my god, and shock. Oh.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Hold on. There was a moment of that, Justin. And then there all of a sudden it turns loot the body.
Yep.
What does he got? I want this.
The biggest
Give me the
question.
gear.
The biggest question was how big was the turtle's penis? They
So-
needed to know.
They
So-
there was a whole plan for Lamore to infiltrate the shell.
I really wanted to get into his shell just to see what he was hiding in there.
it was his home.
Exactly.
It was like the Harry Potter tent.
Exactly.
You go inside and you're just having coffee, and the master bed's on the other side of the room.
So Tarek's still figuring out his sexuality, and so he was like, man, I wonder what this is gonna, what emotions is this gonna arise in me when I see this thing.
Yeah, so a note to self again, DMs, when you give your players agency, you know what, they go to the craziest things, especially after a 5-hour combat. I really was just shaking my head in awe at the fact that they wanted to invade his turtle shell and loot his body and see how big his penis was.
A 5-hour battle and a couple drinks, and I'm ready to get into that shell.
That's all it takes. Tune in next week.
Phrasing.
Phrasing.
All right. Last question on the pre-funk for you is go ahead and we kind of already covered it, but Justin, tell me who you play in my campaign. Well, who you previously played in my
Who I-
campaign, and your class you picked.
Sure. So I was a turtle barbarian. He came from an island of all turtles, and he was sent out to find out what this sickness, this curse, was coming from that was starting to seep into his homeland. He was sent to just go and discover the source.
And now somebody else has to discover
Yep.
the source for him.
His people are gone now.
Lucas, tell me real quick what character and class you play in the campaign.
I'm playing Tarek. He is a multi-classed artificer and wizard. Very young, 18-year-old, and he was just thrown out into the world to discover it.
But he was also part of the Order of Knowledge.
Yeah, so we developed the Order of Knowledge. He's part of the Collector Division. The world is dying, and so the collectors go out to try to acquire knowledge on why this is happening to see if there's a solution or not.
All right. And Diana, who do you play in the campaign?
I'm Lamora. I am a forest gnome and I am a rogue fighter. I mean, I was a wizard. I still am, I guess, but I'm really more of a rogue now because someone put my man in jail. So.
Your man?
Whose man is it now?
Oh, here we go.
Horben made Tarek a man that night.
That's where Power Bottoms came from, friends.
Corbin made you a power bottom.
Yep. He sure as hell did.
Well, with all this steaminess going, I'm ready for what's on tap tonight, guys.
Me too.
Have a pint, take a break, and relax. It's my favorite part of the show. So tell me, boys, what's on tap?
All right, so real life happens, and we have a substitute. Kate, welcome to Of Dice and Brews. Kate is also one of our players at our group, and she's the newest D&D player at our table. She's actually very close with Justin.
Very close.
But
Very intimate.
it's steamy in more ways than one here at this table. I'm glad you guys are closed and the lights are on. Jesus.
Wait till you find out when we get home.
So anyway, we have Kate stepping in. Deanna had to step away for personal reasons. Hope to have her back on an upcoming episode. But right now, we still have a foursome. That was weird.
Only if you make it weird.
Did we just touch tips?
I'm looking you straight in the eye. I don't care.
I love your eyes. It's okay. So
Aren't they
anyway,
beautiful, just beautiful green.
Oh. They're like turtle diamonds. So anyway, Lucas, tell us what we have on tap tonight.
So tonight we have Newtopia Cider, spelled with a Y. It's going to be their POG edition.
Correct.
Yeah. Pineapple, orange, and guava. It is a cider. and quite a strong one at 6.5% alcohol.
Yeah, we got 6.5% alcohol. I do like the fact that it says on the back, it says what it's supposed to smell like, what it's supposed to taste like, and what it looks like. That's pretty enlightening. So for the nose test, it says Waikiki Breeze. And for the palate, it's supposed to taste juicy and tropical. And the color is Sunset in Paradise. It also says the serving temp is 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. To be honest with you, I'm not a big cider guy. We did have a cider before we started this. We were doing some pre-search, and we had a cider that Lucas brought with him, and that one was pretty good. This Pog edition is not one of my favorites, to be honest with you.
First initial reaction, it is very in your face. If you're new to ciders, it's going to be really sweet for you. And
If you don't drink alcohol, you're going to hate it, like Justin.
there's guys like Justin who
Don't
don't
listen
drink.
to me, guys. This is not my field.
Well, Justin was nice enough to do a
tried it.
taste for us, and
Do
and
his traditional I hate this face.
Sorry.
How many times have you seen him make that face?
Every single time he tries anything that's alcohol.
If I had to give my honest opinion about it, like if I just get past that alcohol taste, for me personally, vaguely tasted the fruitiness of it, super vaguely.
Okay.
To be honest with you, like it really tastes kind of chocolatey to me.
I don't know where you're getting the chocolate from. There's no.
Maybe it's my
chocolate at
IPA
all.
tongue that's completely ruined by bitterness, and it has no sense of like tasting fruit.
I'm getting strong pineapple flavor, but that also because pineapple is probably not my favorite, so that's why it's probably coming the strongest to me.
I think we have different drinks because I'm getting vanilla tastes out of this.
Dare you guys to switch to see.
Just like in D&D, when you do theater of the mind, as a DM, you describe a scene. There's 4 or 5 different perspectives.
Yep.
This is why we have a What's on Tap, because now we have 4 or 5 different perspectives on one thing. It comes full circle, right? Anyway, we're going to keep drinking the Newtopia Cider Pog, but since we had a step in, I want to go back to the pre-funk kind of and interview Kate a little bit so you guys can get to know her and what she does and plays a part in our group. Kate, how long have you been playing D&D for?
So that would be since March. So that was when I met all of you guys, and I met Justin in February, and then he took me to I think it was the first or second session that you guys had, and after watching you guys just straight up bullshit almost for an entire session, I was like making little snide comments and everything, and Ben was like, you know what, you might as well just join.
Yeah, she kind of like ponied up to the table and she like sat right next to me, and I was like, okay, this is, if I was any less of a DM, I'd be like, you gotta move, girl. Like, you're making me uncomfortable. But she made herself quite at home, and she was more in tune to what the group was doing and what was going on in the session than most spectators are at even like the movie that they paid for. So when she was bringing stuff up at the end of the session about like, how come you guys don't ask these questions, or how come this isn't going, I'm like, you know what, just roll up a character, and now you need to sit at this seat and ask these questions that these guys aren't asking anymore. So needless said, I think that was the second session, because Deanna stepped in the second session. We had one session together with the original 5. Deanna was a part of the second session, which you were a spectator at, and by the third session, we had our full group of 7.
I think that's right.
Yeah, that sounds
it
about
is.
right.
So you are really, really new to D&D.
Very. I had heard about it, played, I think, maybe one session of Pathfinder, and it was awful. So I had kind of stepped away from D&D, and then Justin was all like, you realize there's a difference between the two of those, right?
Can you tell me, in your opinion, so far in your D&D experience, there's 3 main pillars of D&D. There's the exploration part of it, there's the combat part of it, and then there's a roleplay part of it. So far, in your experience as playing as Ren, which is our druid, what's your favorite?
I would have to say the exploration part of it, because, I mean, you are awesome at storytelling, and everyone else just absolutely adds to it. The combat is not my strong suit. I've gotten better at it since I can turn into a bear, but previous to that, I wasn't really sure what I was doing at all. So the exploration and the role playing will probably always top it, because everybody gets so into it, and I love how everybody is their characters so heavily, especially our Reginald.
Yeah, we have a very eclectic group of personalities at our table, and nobody spares any expense when they're getting into their character. That's one thing that I like about everybody. even down to Kate, who has little to no D&D experience, plays her character so very well.
Oh,
So
well, thank you.
you guys act how your characters, in my mind, would act. So it's pretty remarkable to have that. In other tables that I've been in, you always have those one or two people that are like, I'm just here for the combat. Or you know what? I'm just here for the loot. I don't want to do that role play shit. Can we skip that stuff? I've had people actually say that.
That's actually shocking to me because when I was talking to Justin about whether or not I should join, or just talking about it before he took me to your guys' second session, he was like, "It's all about the story," and that's what kind of drew me in. So it was really surprising that you had people say like, "Oh, can we skip all of that?" It's like, no, part of the adventure.
For sure. Like that's one of my favorites. So even at the 0 session, when I sat down with Lucas and I sat down with Justin and I sat down with Brandon and James and Kennedy and we were talking about it, everybody had the same answer was, hey, look, we're here for the story. We're here to tell an epic tale. We want to go on an adventure, which was immediately like, okay, I can jive with you guys. Sometimes you can put up with one or two mid-maxers, power gamers. As long as they have that storytelling aspect into they're okay with it. When you get I kind of clash with a whole table full of power gamers. I'm like, you know what? This is not my gig. To be honest with you, like when we put you guys through that 5-hour combat the last session, that's totally out of the norm for us. We've been together for almost 6 months now, and honestly, that's the biggest combat we've had.
Yep.
Usually they're pretty small. This took a whole session, but I also felt like it was time to shake it up so you guys could do what your characters could, like push them to the max, see how well they do, and see what happened. Unfortunately, Kate wasn't with us. She was doing girl things.
I was in Salt Lake City attending a graduation, okay?
So I did tell everybody who you play, but go ahead and just reiterate like who you play in your class and maybe your favorite part about your character as well.
So my favorite part about my character is that I am in tune with nature, which I personally have always been that way, and I can turn into a bear, which is my favorite animal. D&D has had a surprising emotional effect on me because this goes to how much of a great DM Ben is, that he asked me
Shucks.
when he asked me about certain things to add to the story, I added my grandfather, who I had lost when I was 15, into D&D, and it was a incredible thing to just add that to it. So my character is I think we're on class 5 now.
Yep, level 5.
Level 5.
And so I am a druid, and I went with druid because I feel a connection to nature just personally. So I was like, okay, that was the first one I was drawn to. I could turn into an animal. All right, let's stick with that. The fact that I can turn into a bear is pretty great. But I chose a genasi, an earth genasi, because I thought it was really cool how they can, just their special abilities, how they can walk on uneven ground and they can walk just totally naturally. Me, who in real life slips and falls over everything. So it was nice to kind of have that opposite with my character, as well as the certain things that I would like to be, because I mean, she's a warrior. She has all of this different kinds of knowledge and magic, which I think everybody wishes they could use magic.
Isn't that the best part of D&D is when you create these characters and you take parts of yourself that you wish you could thrust forth and actually overexert those and make those your strengths, when in real life they might be your weaknesses or your flaws. I think that's the best part about this, is stepping outside your own skin and saying like, hey, let me do this and see how it feels. Because then maybe in real life you can step back and be like, okay, well, if it didn't feel that bad in the game, if there was no consequences per se, or I couldn't handle that interaction with other people at the table, maybe it won't be so bad in this circumstance either.
It's really more of an emotional experience than people really think, which, someone who's never played D&D is just blown away by. Obviously, people have played D&D for many years, like a lot of our group. They're obviously already aware of that. And of course, because of, Stranger Things coming out, everybody's giving D&D a chance, and I'm very excited about that, as where, other people in D&D may be kind of like, oh, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon and we liked it before it was cool, blah, blah, blah. But it's like,
well, just like everything else, you're going to find those gatekeepers with everything.
There's
it happens
definitely
in
metal
music.
gatekeepers.
Yeah, it happens in D&D. It happens with books like Lord of the Rings. Oh,
The books are better.
gatekeeper.
I mean, we could get into a whole conversation about that, but in reality, it is an amazing thing. And I mean, Justin can attest to this. I've been working my new job where it will be anywhere between 8 to 10 hours a day, and I'm exhausted, but coming to D&D is a total rejuvenation because it is not only fun, but you get to like live out this other life, because in D&D it's not like there's bills or jobs, which is probably another great thing.
Taxes are coming.
Gotta pay the piper.
Where's my gold?
Brandon brought this up to me the other day. Like, we haven't had any kind of shopping experience.
We haven't
at all.
Brandon is our dwarf, in case nobody introduced who his character was.
Shopping can take an entire session.
It sure
you-
can, but the fact that you
Especially
guys,
with me, who's a real life shopaholic.
well, you guys got thrown out of that town pretty quick. Where we could have done any
We
shopping.
keep being thrown out of towns very quickly. What are you talking about?
It's only been one
I
So
thought we've
far.
had two.
so far.
Come on, get happy hour.
What goes in your mind when you create characters? For the happy hour, we're going to talk character creation, but as in typical Dice and Brews fashion, we have to roll initiative to see who takes the question. So, Justin, go ahead and roll that poof at red dice.
Fucking fat ass stuff.
Ooh,
I got 9.
Lucas,
the 2.
the
I
2.
love the springs are making it
know, right?
epic.
Kate, come on, natural 20, let's go. 18.
18.
Let's
Wait, my bonus is
let's see what the forever DM gets. Make it jiggle, jiggle, and roll. Well, 17. Kate, I know you only created one character, but you've had to have the itch to see what other kind of characters you can create and thought about. So when you sit down to create a character, in your next character, would you start with race or would you start with class?
Well, when I created Ren, I started with class because it was because I mean, you had these certain amount of classes that you had to pick from, so I thought that was a good place to start. So I think moving forward, I would probably pick race first, just because there's the characteristics that go into that, and then there's certain classes that are made for that race.
Do you have an idea like what next race or class you would want to play? Now that you've played like a half kind of melee, half spellcaster, would you lean one way or the other?
Honestly, I'm not sure, because I lean towards the druid still the most. I just feel like that's the most me, even though Justin's like,
Girl, step outside your skin.
yeah,
Get something
kinda
different.
I do that to her.
He does, because I mean, in his own characters, he's had a barbarian, he has a bard. What else have you had?
Trying to remember it now.
So
actually.
I mean, so other people have had different kinds. So because this is my first character, I feel very, attached to it.
Absolutely.
I
You know what?
mean,
My first character that I ever created was in a Pathfinder campaign, and I poured my heart and soul into this dude.
Exactly. So that's exactly how I feel about my character as well. So the idea of being a different character kind of is throwing me off a little bit, but maybe I would want to be either a fighter or a rogue if I had to choose something different.
Girl, good job. Lucas, when you sit down to create a character, do you start with class or race?
I definitely start with class.
Why is class so important?
I have played every class in the game except sorcerer.
Okay, show off.
I know. I'm just not a fan of the sorcerer class, but it really comes down to how I am feeling.
Particular time. It's all about the feels.
It is. So like my table right now, I play a wizard, but everybody thinks I should play a bard.
Okay, hold on.
I really can't wait to see you as a bard. That's going to be great.
To piggyback on that question, then, does the type of campaign determine which, for all you guys, like, does the type of campaign determine which kind of class or race you kind of lean towards?
Well, for me, because I was so new to it and I had come in on your guys' second episode, I really didn't know what kind of campaign I was going into. So that's
That's because you didn't have a zero session.
Exactly,
Zero sessions are important.
Exactly. So for someone not having that zero session, I would say that no, that didn't affect my character at all. It just more felt what I was drawn to.
Perfect.
For me, absolutely does not correlate to what the campaign is I am making a character how I want to make it. You as a DM are throwing me into this new world, accepting how I made it, and I just roll with it and like that. So, but the campaign has no say in the character creation for me.
The campaign has a lot of say for me. Just to go against the grain of everybody else here.
Oh, okay.
I like to have constraints. So, like, if the DM's like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, warlocks are really frowned upon in this area. They aren't really a thing. I
could see
probably
that.
will not want to build a warlock at that point.
Okay, yeah,
Don't-
okay, now I can
Okay,
see that.
so
yeah.
this is where I'm gonna say, as the forever DM, I hate when DMs say you can't do
I know.
this. I don't think that. Listen,
There's the good and bad of each group, right? Good players, bad players, good DMs, bad DMs.
I'm not, I just don't understand why anybody would want to constrain their players when they tell the best story. As the DM, you kind of want your players invested in your story. You want them to collaborate with you. If they have an idea, if they have a place, if they're like, okay, so here's the thing. It's like, I couldn't imagine my 5-year-old coming to me and be like, Dad, I did this, this, and this, and this, and it was such a great day, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but you know what, Emma? We don't do that. But it was still allowed within the parameters that she was given in that space. So what I'm saying is, warlocks are a class in this game. You should allow warlocks. But instead of, no, you can't, it should be like, okay, you can play a warlock, but guess what? You're going to have to be uber sneaky about it because warlocks are frowned upon in this area.
Yeah.
So you really don't know what's going to happen if they catch you if you are a warlock. But at the same time, you can play a warlock. But how much does that heighten the player character to play that warlock in a way to where they hide the fact that they're a warlock? I feel like that pushes them forward and into the spotlight and be like, I have a secret now.
Well, and it's kind of like in our campaign, how we have the whole unregistered magic users thing, and we have 2 unregistered magic users.
Everybody but Tarek is unregistered.
Hey, I have
And
nature
everybody but
magic,
Tarlik
okay?
can cast spells except for the deceased R.I.P. Darut.
So we already kind of have that, and it's not like you said, okay, any unregistered magic users, we can't have that around here, you know.
Yeah, but we also had that frightening experience where you guys met the mistress and you guys saw what happened to unregistered magic users.
Mhm.
Also with Horben, the so-called boyfriend,
Otherwise known as Daddy.
we saw him cast, and he was an unlicensed magic user, and we saw him cast and then be hauled away by the Hearthbringers.
Yep.
So we've seen consequences. That's why I don't like when DMs kind of put restraints on their campaigns. If you have, to me, if it's in a book, it's written in a Wizards officially licensed product. It's been play tested. It's some combinations can be broken. Yes, I understand. But at the same time, if your players aren't invested in your game, if you are gatekeeping your own campaign from your players, how much fun are you really having? To me, you're not having a lot of fun. You know how, Lucas, you were saying like one of your D&D memories or one of the things you want to do or roles you want to fulfill is to lift your party up. The role of the DM underlying is to lift the party up. It's my job to make sure that you guys have the best time because honestly, the story that I'm trying to tell is your story. All I'm doing is taking what you guys give me and boosting it up on a platform and being like, have your moment. Whose moment is it today? Do your shit. And that's one thing on my journey as a DM that I've learned because I used to fucking pigeonhole all my players and like, no, you can't be that. Remember that guy we played that?
Oh yeah.
That's the DM that I was at one point.
Really, I can't see that.
You
Me
have
neither.
I
to
can't see that
separate
either.
yourself from your content, DMs. Don't take offense if your players kill your BBEG in one hit. Just build a better BBEG. You can't become too attached to your content. So it's never no. It's yes, but. In my opinion.
Mhm.
Do you guys always, I mean, Kate, like this is a hard conversation for you to come into, but I want to know your thoughts on this as well. And you kind of already hinted at it, but do you guys always play the same type of characters, like a trope, or are you guys versatile? Like Kate, what your next character you said you'd probably lean to that druid aspect again and kind of be into that. The best part about druid is like there's many different subclasses, so you can kind of lean different ways and do different things. What are you feeling? Like, how would you go about your next character? Do you feel like you'd play a druid again? Is that like a guaranteed?
I definitely do want to play a druid again, but at the same time, I don't want to limit myself because I have seen some really cool things come upon. And I mean, it, like how you had changed Dana's character from being a gnome to a rogue. That was pretty amazing. And now she can do just be more about
wizard
that.
to a rogue.
Wizard to a rogue.
Yeah,
she was still a gnome.
She's still a gnome. Yeah.
She
It's
was
okay.
still a gnome.
I know what you're saying.
Thank you.
So she went from a wizard to a rogue because that was her playstyle.
Yep.
It's still pretty new to this game as well. So like the way she was playing, I was like, hey, how do you think about this? And that's kind of what, basically going back to the open DM stance, like, man, I know you wanted to play this. I know you thought yourself as this, but like you're kind of leaning towards this. Make those exceptions for people. Let them do that. Also, I know we have secrets at this table between two of you, and I don't want to spoil those secrets because
Secrets don't make friends, guys.
Secrets make amazing stories.
Yes,
They
they
do.
fucking
Damn
do.
it.
so I don't want to ruin those yet, but I mean, like I said, you guys are my lifeblood. Like I'm not telling the story by myself. I'm just the kind of like counteractive, productive peacekeeper here. Like
And
all
I
I
think
do is
that's
make sure.
why all of us as a group mesh so well, because you give us that freedom to be everything that we want to be in our characters. I mean, how many different times has Reginald come up with a whole new thing for his character?
I can't wait for y'all to meet Reginald.
Yeah, Reginald's a character.
He is amazing.
So good. So you definitely like want to branch out, and that's good. I think
I don't want
that's
to
awesome.
limit myself because it's so many amazing things, but at the same time, the connection to my character that I currently have and the qualities that she has is really strong. But like we were saying, it's that first character thing that gives that attachment.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sibling, you know, like or a pet. Like you nurture it, you feed it, you water it if you're a druid.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't know. I think I know your answer to this, but for me, I definitely play into the trope. I've played Barbarian as my first character. I love Barbarian. I always
Hence
wanted
why
to be
I got him the
Barbarian.
shirt that says I would like to rage. It's too perfect.
But I've been branching out, and I've had plans to branch out for a while now, and this is the campaign where I'm finally doing it.
Watch out, he's spreading his axes.
Ooh.
He's throwing them now. He's not just swinging them.
But Lucas, you.
I play many characters.
Yes, you do.
I knew that was gonna be your answer, which is why it was good that you were in this, just so that they could have a difference of opinion. Because I feel like everybody sticking to a trope is pretty common.
I play everything. I have different accents for characters, but I have a dislike to play characters that are similar to myself.
Hmm.
Dun dun dun.
I don't like playing. For me, D&D is a whole different world, right? I don't want to come to D&D and play a big 6'4" barbarian guy because that's
Okay, show off.
you know, I don't want to play a
I
fighter.
don't want to be washboard backwards hat, tough sticking out of my head.
I don't want to play the overly muscular guy. I don't want to play the
Oh,
guy who comes in as
okay.
fighter and he's leading the party. I do that stuff in real life, and I come over here and I like to play the bookworm wizard. You know,
That's who you truly are,
I
okay?
am. I like to play the
Batman or Bruce Wayne?
Alfred.
Yes, no, seriously, the bookworm wizard is totally
Calendar
who you
Man.
are.
You know,
Oh, a lot of people are like you like that. Just they're escaping to do something new.
Well, we were talking
Entirely
about
different.
that earlier, where you branch different parts of your personality and things that you wish you could do, like magic. For me, I do in D&D because you can't do that in real life, unfortunately.
Speak
Yeah.
for yourself. I
Now,
magic every day.
For
Okay.
me, I do like to throw myself into my characters. I want, because when I play this game, I'm always imagining myself in there because I want to be transported there. If I got the portal, I choose playing the game versus the real thing. Bye, guys.
No, really. And it was also, like I had mentioned earlier, it was a cool way for me to, because I had been missing my grandfather a lot lately, so it was kind of nice to bring him into what we're doing now, because I've since joining have become so passionate about it. It's been truly amazing to me. The idea of putting myself into my characters is another way to either, deal with things that are really hard to deal with in real life, or find a new way to handle it, or, just bring something back that means a lot to you. I mean,
In a way, it's just easier for me to relate to my character because making a character that's just not me is just hard. Be like the consequences of saving him and whatnot, and or letting them die. It's just okay, they're gone, bye bye. Or versus how Drew was. I haven't mentioned it, but like I am devastated.
I think
Finally,
I'm
you mentioned
I'm
some emotion
devastated
about this
too.
instead of joking about it.
I think joking is a coping mechanism though.
No,
Mhm.
100%. It absolutely is. And I hate you all for making
No,
a joke
I
out of
wanted to
Daruk's
see
death.
the end of Darut's story, and
We'll
it's gotta
still,
see
we're
a
still
different
gonna
way
see
now.
the end. Yeah, it's gonna be a different way. I'm kind of with Lucas on this. Like, I play me in real life. I don't want to play me in a game.
It's all about your perspective. I really
We all have
No,
different
and
personalities.
But
here.
here's the thing: is like I find that even though you're playing somebody different, eventually you become attached to that character. That a little bit of yourself bleeds over into that character, regardless of if you wanted to or not. Your morals and your values, even though you can try to separate yourself from your characters and you say you're going to play something different, when those heartstrings start to get pulled on, or something sensitive or emotional, or a situation, or somebody you've been fond of, like something comes into question, you immediately revert back to yourself in those vulnerable situations.
like a death of our favorite Totoro.
Anything like that, it's just like real life, and I think that's why this game hits so hard for so many people, and why it's ultimately a lifestyle as opposed to just a game
Or even just a hobby.
or even just a
It's
hobby.
So much more.
You become emotionally attached and emotionally involved.
No, this
Not-
group is my family. You know, like y'all are staying with me till we die.
And I feel the same way. Like, I'm right there with you. Like, I have a Washington family. I have a Las Vegas family now. Like, I definitely consider you guys my family. You guys are a part of my life.
Getting so emotional here, and I'm here for it.
We talk daily in a group chat, and it doesn't necessarily always about D&D.
No, lately it's been a lot about fantasy football. You guys suck.
Yeah, but I think you should be honored the fact that
Oh,
we still want to be in the chat with you guys while we talk about fantasy football.
Sure.
It just lets you into your brother's lives
Uh-huh.
about this other side of us that's not just nerdy and dirty. You know what I mean?
Okay, so
consider it a
fantasy
fantasy
football's not
chat.
nerdy and dirty, huh?
It's not as nerdy and dirty as Dungeons and Dragons.
I would prefer Dungeons and Dragons over fantasy football. Thank you very much.
So would I if I had to pick one, honestly. But,
Okay then.
but I don't have to pick one, so guess what? I'm gonna do them all. One day we'll have a D&D fantasy football league. So just so you know.
I mean, I could see that being pretty cool. Actually, I
Don't
might get
worry,
into
we'll do
that.
fantasy shopping. Don't worry.
Ugh,
Yes.
fantasy.
I can't wait for a shopping day.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
No, I could see.
Where did
Ren and
Darut's money
Targ
go?
holding
I need that money
Is it
back.
in his
I'm
shelf?
going to the bookshop, and I'm going to shop books all day
I will
long.
go with you as well.
So when you guys plan your characters or come up with new characters, do you guys plan them out for the long term, like levels 1 through 20, or do you guys live in the moment and plan them as they level?
Oh, in the moment.
I do it in the moment just because because I'm so new. I wouldn't know how to plan further.
Lucas, really? Opposite end?
This was really good for the episode, though. Okay, don't give him too much crap. It's really good for it, though.
I love it. Oh, I
I-
love it.
I invest a lot in my characters, and I usually have their backstory built to plan into the long term of the campaign, and I have a whole
I wanna
route
get-
planned out for them.
You definitely have inspired me to want to have more of a backstory for my character, because your characters, like Ben can ask you anything and you have an answer, and I
Yeah.
want that as well.
I built an entire wizard order. I built a whole family line in the capital city. I had a whole lot of.
And I took it away.
Yep, and he took it all away from me. But no, I definitely plan for the long term with every character I play.
Even the
And
leveling?
even the leveling.
Okay, so
and
you're thinking about that.
generally, the leveling is that there's always things that happen in your D&D campaigns that are gonna throw a wrench in the plan,
Mhm.
and you're like, man, this
like
big.
losing your mom.
Yeah, like losing my Tarek's mom. I do not remember her. So now Tarek may go warlock
Oh,
to be
God.
extra emo.
Please no.
Oh,
I-
no.
So a little
it
bit
would
of backstory.
kill me for you to be evil. It would hurt my soul.
A little bit of backstory for this is when he's talking about losing his mom. Like I thought it would be really cool to have like a mental combat as opposed to a physical combat.
Which I did like. Although it was scary and terrifying, it was still a very cool idea that I would not have thought of. So props to you, Ben.
So we had all the women in our group, which are 3 of them. We had women in our group abstinent from a session. So we had a complete sausage party.
Wiener party.
Woo
and-
woo.
and it was fantastic. It was like hanging out with the boys.
Ouch.
It was like playing fantasy football.
Gee, thanks.
But at the same time, we did miss you guys. So I was like,
you missed the titties in the group.
no comment.
No comment. Save yourself.
You got the forever DM speechless. I love you. I love you.
You're welcome.
So anyway, like I had this whole session planned out, and then all the girls in the group bailed, and I was like, okay, now I need to come up with a one shot, pretty much for forwarding the group, but at the same time we can play D&D, but at the same time let's throw something else in. So I had them go on this journey where the girls in the group were coerced by a phenomenon, so to speak, an enemy of ethereal being, the Dream Whisperer, as I called him. He didn't really thrive on a physical combat as much as a mental combat. When the guys actually found the girls, and as they were lured off into the woods and tried to get them back, the Dream Whisperer didn't want to fight them. He wanted, in exchange, them to sacrifice memories for each of the ones in the party. So then I had them roll on a d6, and depending on the result of the dice is what kind of memory they sacrificed. Lucas unfortunately rolled that his significant memory of loss was his loved ones. One specific person that he loved more than anything in the world
Was his mom.
was his mom.
Such a sweet moment, and then now it's changed him
So-
forever, and we hate it.
Tarek went, and Lucas, being the dynamic role player that he is, went from being this uppity, jovial, curious,
Innocent sometimes.
innocent 18-year-old wizard exploring the world to Spider-Man 3 emo Pino Parker.
Embodied.
He even changes his hairstyle to
He
reflect
even
that.
does the hair flip.
I do. It just shows that, you know, when your DM tosses you something new, like that changes the whole direction. I had a whole direction for Tarek, but then you know what? You don't remember your mom. So now we had a 18-year-old boy who had no memory of any loved ones in his entire life. He had to raise himself.
2005.
You know? So he's really playing that almost hopeless individual who doesn't care about anything.
Somewhat doesn't care.
Somewhat doesn't
You're
care.
pretty emotional still.
And he's experimenting now, and he
In
doesn't have the
every
morals
way.
that his mother instilled into him, you know?
Which is very concerning for me because, as previously mentioned, it would kill me if you became a warlock. I would hate for you to become evil because of this.
No,
I think
warlocks are
that's
It just depends-
classist.
yeah, it
okay,
just depends on
warlocks
the-
aren't always evil.
Yeah, it just depends on the patron.
Yeah, but you would
honestly.
be planning for it to be evil.
Well,
I
he's
know.
already playing with blood magic, so
Exactly. That's why I know that's the direction you'd be going. So I'm terrified for you to go to that direction. I'm hoping your memory is restored before any lasting damage is done. I'm hoping.
Do you like to start at level 1, or do you like to start further off in your hero's journey?
It depends for me. It depends.
I like to be there from the beginning, but like I said, this is my only character, so I can only use that. But I would want to be there for
To be
every
honest
step.
with you, you've never been there
No, yeah.
since the beginning.
Yeah, no. Technically, no, but.
I like that about you, though. I like that you're in on this conversation.
Now, certain times, starting at level 1, strictly for like just starting the story of these characters is great for me. Other times, I feel like depending on where the campaign is, let me get rolling on what features I have with my level 3 character.
I think the only downside to level 1 is the fact that not all classes get their subclasses at level 1.
Mhm.
That's the only downside, in my opinion. But I will stand fast and steadfast at my morals that everybody should start at level 1. That's where the groundwork lays.
The way you
I-
said.
You know, I've heard. I don't know if you've heard this before. There's this guy I saw online. He started his characters at level 20,
Oh.
and just to see what would happen, and they had a blast. Apparently,
That's called a one shot.
Yeah, that's called.
They-
you know what? I'm gonna blow this campaign up.
They
But
did.
I also thought about opening campaigns at level 20 and then having like a TPK or what's that? A false Hydra,
I love those.
and then like you wake up at level 1. So
that works. Yeah.
almost like you have a glimpse in the future of what
What
you
you
can
could be.
become.
Yeah.
And then you have to go. The only problem with this is like you'd have to end that on a cliffhanger like so hard because you're like, hey, come to my table with a level 20 character. You can't tell them to make a level 1 character at the same time because then they're like, well, what the fuck is up with that? So you got to kind of end it at a cliffhanger and be like, okay, you wake up at level 1. Now make your level 1 characters.
And that kind of campaign is definitely for experienced players. Throwing someone.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing. It's like you have to have a table full of fucking people that are like, yeah, like Lucas, like they plan their characters out till 20. I do not do that. I like to live in the moment and
Mhm.
go with the campaign
Yeah,
flow.
I would have no idea where Ren would be because, I mean, much as in life, gonna try to get a little deep here, much as in life, you don't become who you are without the experiences and things
fucking
to
love you,
back it up.
I think if you have one new player at your table, always start at level.
Thank you.
Always.
Yeah.
If you have a table full of players who played for a couple of years, I think level 3 is the sweet spot. of where
3
to start.
is, yeah, I agree. 3 is a sweet spot. Going higher,
No,
5
because
is like
I
the
want
max,
you
if
guys,
anything.
as a DM, I always start my campaigns at level 1. Just be prepared
That's
for that.
fine.
Mhm.
That's
Just
fine.
saying. But I always want you guys to feel that level 1 threat of death. Like, obviously, we didn't experience our first player character death until level 5.
Shit.
But
God
I want.
damn it.
There is nothing worse of a feeling than being level 1 and having high aspirations for your character, and all of a sudden some piss ass little fucking goblin comes along
A rat.
and fucking murders you outright, and you're just like, fuck
Well
that guy.
You mean like a level 1 wizard with 6 hit points and some rats show up?
You're,
Get him
you're,
away!
you're still here at level 5.
Hanging on.
It's like a totally different character now. But, you know, we're
Tarek
there.
has gone there and back again for those Lord of the Rings fans.
Really, though. And then there was Darut, who was supposed to save his people and now has left it to his 2 favorite people to finish the job for him.
2 favorite people. My
Tarek
whole.
being one of them, yes.
No, me and Reggie.
I thought he was.
All of you were my favorite
I
people.
thought he
Dude,
was in on
loved
Horbin too.
No.
That was behind the scenes.
He shared his shell with him.
Oh my god.
Horbin was that one NPC that got through the whole party.
Take that back. I did not have any of Horbin.
He didn't meet you at the
Yeah,
beginning.
he didn't reach it at the beginning.
He would have had you too.
Bet.
I was holding out for one turtle. In your experience, do you consider character creation one of your favorite parts of D&D, or do you chalk it up to a chore? Like, is character creation something you look forward to, or is it like, oh,
I
man,
think
I
it's
just want to
really
play
fun.
the game?
I think it's really fun. But, you know, I've only ever made one character, but I really enjoyed it, especially going and, like, figuring out what my character was going to look like on D&D Beyond and actually making a visualization of that character, and then you making the 3D print was awesome. I know most people are not going to get that opportunity. Another reason why Ben is a great DM, because we get our own little guys. It was a lot of fun for me to come up with like what I wanted and what I didn't want out of the character, what I wanted them to look like, and the attributes and the morals that I wanted them to have.
Piggybacking on that, the one other thing that I don't like about this PDF is the fact that they took away ideals, bonds, and flaws.
I love that.
They did.
I don't like
They
that part.
did. You're right.
I don't like that part.
I hated those. I thought they were useless.
For
No,
me-
they're not.
Those are the things that you develop in your campaign, in my opinion.
I'm
I
half
mean, I
half
could
on
see
those.
that. I could see that.
I'm half because
Only if you start at level 1.
there are some of those that I liked a lot when you couldn't figure out something, but on the other side, I'd rather just pick it out myself, especially the flaws. I always skipped what they had. I'm like, no.
Well, here's the
Like
thing: is
mine
like
is on flaws that I can't go on boats.
I-
I'm like, okay.
I always
No,
pick my
but
own flaws for my
I agree
character.
with that. Like, I think that needs to be built into this like custom background generator, though. Like, pick your flaws. We all have flaws. As human beings, we're a flawed species.
Extremely.
When you overcome your flaws, just like I was saying in a previous episode, to combat or confront a problem ahead of you, you're a hero. How the hell do you stare danger in the face when it's your biggest weakness or flaw
Like a
and
dragon.
overcome that? You are the fucking hero. Who are you without flaws? Your flaws are part of you.
I could never play D&D without a flaw. I could never do it. I'm not going to be
Yeah,
perfect.
Lucas, how do you play D&D without a flaw?
I'm not saying play it without it, right? I'm saying is that your flaws are going to be developed in your gameplay. How you and I have like some background messages, right? You kind of ask certain questions to try to develop some things, and I developed a flaw for my character in that Tarek, being in this 18-year-old wizard out in the world, he has developed a massive fear of werewolves. It is like one of his biggest fears that werewolves are going to come out of the woodwork and just kill him. And so, like, he hears a howl, and there was a session where there were some wolves that I thought were werewolves, and I was role-playing the hell out of it, that I was scared to absolute death of these werewolves. And guess what? I'm sure that me developing that flaw in the game flow, if I all of a sudden, conquered that fear, got past it, and killed those werewolves, yeah, I'm a hero for the moment. I'm still scared of those goddamn werewolves.
I guess that all depends on how you play, because I couldn't do that. For me playing D&D, I wouldn't be able to figure out what my flaws were throughout playing. I would have to know them prior. That's just how I play.
It's kind of, I understand what you're saying.
Me too.
But it's also kind of random at the same time. Like, you can pick anything at any given moment and be
Mhm.
like, hey, that's my flaw. That's what I'm going to do. And I understand that part, and that's cool, because it's kind of like what Deanna was talking about earlier, is like, I was just playing with my dice set and I rolled and then I stabbed the dude in the heart based on a roll. The whole game is based on a roll. Life is based on chance. Life is based on perhaps moments or encounters. I understand that. But I'm kind of with Justin on this, is like, if I don't have something predetermined that kind of offsets what my character flow is going at as a flaw, then it kind of like throws me off, because then you got to get in those modes where you're like, hey, look, I don't have anything predetermined, so I'm kind of like an invincible juggernaut. Nothing scares me. But I also don't like the pre-generated flaws. I like to come up with my own shit.
Mm-hmm.
The pre-generated flaws didn't make any sense to me, because obviously I'm so
It can
new
for
to
some
this.
people.
Well,
but-
no, when you were kind of trying to help me make my character and explain
She's on
the
a boat.
pre-generated flaws, I was like, what? Because my real life flaw is I'm terrified of spiders. I can kill them, but like Chamber of Secrets is my worst nightmare.
I thought that was an iguana.
That was a Star Wars thing, right?
No, you jerks.
Nanu.
But for me, throwing in the flaws and even to the DM, my favorite thing when it gets used, for you were saying you overcome it. For me, it's when, like, oh, they're on a brick wall now, because I remember a simple trope
character,
with a
Koa.
barbarian, with my Koa the barbarian, my first character. He couldn't read, and the party was about to be TPK'd, and there was one thing that needed to happen, and I was the only one near the book. And I'm over there like, tree. It says water, damn it. That's what I love about it. I love that kind of shit where it fucks everything up.
Introduce a little chaos into your campaign.
Well, Tarek was invincible until he forgot his mom.
Ooh.
That was a flaw that was just discovered.
Uh-huh,
That
sure.
just came out of nowhere.
And Drew was alive until your vortex worked him next year.
Which is frustrating, because I know what his ultimate goal was as Darut, which he never got to do because of dying.
Be with Horban.
No.
I feel like that's a common party goal.
Do you want to tell them what your ultimate goal was?
No, don't tell us.
Mm-mm. It's a
Aw.
secret now.
But you're dead.
It'll
Why?
die with him. The camp. He can share it on the after party when we all, after this campaign's over and we go back and.
When y'all join me
This
and have
camp- yeah.
this campaign's gonna end. What?
Well, we gotta start a new
Why?
one eventually.
No, we don't.
eventually.
No, we don't.
Maybe somebody else DMs.
Maybe somebody does.
No.
Or maybe we go into space.
No, you already said you prefer to be a DM over a player.
I'm okay with DMing. Or maybe Lucas takes up the DM.
But there's that fun part of being a player. Even been a DM for the longest time, being great at
The only-
it, or being whatever
here's,
about it.
here's the thing is, like, I'm sorry to cut you off, Justin.
Okay.
I apologize. The only problem with me being a player is like, okay, you want to DM Lucas, and Lucas has already tried. We had some breakdowns in our other group, but Lucas has already tried to DM, and well, he has DM'd for one session. My goal as a player is to give you as much chaos as I possibly can,
Oh wow.
just to feed into that.
He was digging through trash the very first session, trying to find clothes.
That's like Dina's character.
Listen, it's better when you start at level 1. That being said, starting at level 1 is like, how deep can a level 1 character be? Backstory, how much prep should you put in to a level 1 character?
Very
I think it depends on the person, because obviously
very dependent.
Lucas is gonna go leaps and bounds to know his character backwards, forwards, upside down, and every way you can think of, whereas, you know, Justin's gonna kind of fly with the seat of his pants.
I'd say you distracted me with that comment.
Justin's always flying by the seat of his pants.
Yes, no, he really is.
God damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say. God.
If I told you as a DM, like, hey, I'm starting up a new campaign, your backstory need no longer be than a paragraph, would you feel offended or delighted?
Coming from you, okay, no problem, boss.
I would feel neutral because I would give you that paragraph, but I would have so much more prep that you have no idea. So when you ask me that question, like, hey, what else did you have? I'd be like, oh, well, let me tell you what else I have.
I'm kind of in the middle. Part of me wants to wished I would have done more preparations for my character, but then part of me has really enjoyed kind of coming into that character as I'm coming into D&D, so it kind of matches all of the motions that are going with it.
I feel like Lucas's paragraph would be like a run-on paragraph where it's like 2 pages, no periods.
Right. If I remember right, because you asked us for like a little less than a page,
Yeah.
and I think I gave you more than that.
Which doesn't surprise me at all, and I love you for that.
Yeah, and developed a wizard order for you.
Going back to
You're
that
welcome.
question,
You remember
to
what
go
you
how
were
deep
gonna
you can
say?
go into level 1 depends on the kind of player you want to be, because what I looked up when I was trying to DM for the first time, and then as I played through, you do this already. How does the player want to have fun? Do they want to be super simplistic? Do they want to get super in depth?
That was the one
And
thing
all
that
in
he
between.
explained to me at first when it came to D&D was, he asked me, he was like, okay, how do you have fun? What is the way that this is going to be fun for you? And I really didn't know how to answer until we got into it, but then later he would keep asking me, are you having fun with this, or is there more or less things that we should do, that kind of thing. So I mean, you know, thankfully for all of us, we all seem to mesh really well and all have fun in the same way.
No, for sure. This group thrives on one another, and I feel like
We're buddies.
we are definitely buddies. To answer my own question, like, I guess it just depends on the campaign, and it depends on what the DM's asking from you, because I know there's been certain situations where I've been a part where I'm like, only give me a paragraph, or sometimes like you get one memory. Yeah, I've run campaigns where I'm like, you don't know, you forgot everything. You wake up in an amnesia state, and there's only one memory that you have. So it kind of just depends on what the direction of the DM or what kind of campaign they're kind of trying to approach you with or portray. The other thing is you can get really deep on level 1 characters, and it can be all for naught. There's nothing worse than investing so much time into fleshing out a character at level 1. And then all of a sudden, hey, he lasted till level 5. My first character died at level 1, okay? And he was, man, I had this, he was like a necromancer sorcerer. And he had this is when we were playing Pathfinder still. And I had this big wooden base for him and a mini painted. And then I had a mini painted for when he got to level 5. And I had magnetic places on the base where his minions were. It was like a whole diorama piece, and the motherfucker died at level 1. Do you know what that's like?
I don't want to.
Devastating.
No, I don't know what that's like at all.
That's because you guys have a forgiving DM.
Oh.
One more question. Well, actually 2 more. But we're going to skip that one. So one more question. Where do you get your inspiration for your characters' personalities? Is it a side of you that's hyper focused, or something that's totally different from yourselves?
So I kind of already answered that. So because this is my only character, the only thing I could really think of was, out of the classes and out of my options, my favorite things those were, and the way that they connected to me, and the things that maybe I wish were like a little bit more about me. That, you know, like I wish that I had magic and was able to speak to the trees and nature and animals and turn into an animal. You know, I wish all of those things. So, I mean, for me, it was a lot of pouring myself into my characters. But like I said, this was my first character, so I feel like that's kind of everybody's first character.
What's the easiest to go to?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of what you lean on. It's what I know. It's what I do. Here I am. How about you, Justin?
I lately have been fleshing out a lot of characters randomly. But originally, I've stuck to the one character, the barbarian, who's a heroic version of what I see in myself in fantasy. It's not definitely. I'm not a big buffy dude.
No, you're forgetting
but I
Teddy
always
Bear.
make a Hawaiian barbarian. Is like if I was back in ancient Hawaiian times, that would be me right there. But with other characters I've been making, I kind of just like go off of either something I saw from a movie or just a little random dit and go crazy after that. I made a chef character that I found some homebrew shit and I just had fun with it and just kept digging into it. And I also made a Mrs. Doubtfire character. And I just have a semi big
A
list.
portfolio?
Yeah.
He really does.
So lately I've been doing that.
For me, I generally will not pour myself into my characters. I will try to channel things that either I never was or that I wanted to be or that I was curious about. Hey, how would it be if I was this way? You know? And I can talk in different accents and I can really flesh out these tones and everything and play a dumb character or play a smart character.
Yeah, I really feel like the three of us are each different ways of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the best part about this game, isn't it? Like, honestly, you take like-minded individuals who are interested in the same thing, and you bring them together and you play a game, and they all get satisfaction and fun from different ways of playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, they're contributing to the same epic story.
7 different players in our campaign, all collaborating together to make one epic tale.
I'm supposed to be the t-shirt guy, Justin.
Well, the only one who I still like, I feel like is just kind of a total mystery, and it's just because she's quiet, is Kennedy. She is great, and I love her character and everything, but she's just, I have like no idea about her.
She's gonna surprise us.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
But it's just like every time she opens her mouth, it's like pure gold.
Yes,
I'm
it
like,
is.
every
100%.
single time,
God.
and I'm all like,
I told her, I said that like she's generally the last one to leave the house after sessions, and I said, hey, look, like you have DM capabilities written all over you. Just do it. Just go for it. And she said she plays in another game, which I was excited by. Like, yeah, that's cool.
does
Play
she
more
really?
play more D&D. But I said, I told her, I was like, your character, when you speak, everybody listens to you. I was like, you have potential to lead this fucking group. Everything that comes out of your mouth is just pure gold because the moments you talk are just perfect.
jaw
Like,
drop.
You
every
can't
time.
plan it any better.
No, there's 2 people who I think if they were a little bit more vocal, they could definitely lead the group so easily, and that is Brandon and Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Orsic and Wings. I'm telling you,
Yep.
either one of them could just easily lead the group.
Mm-hmm.
And really,
Yeah, but they're so good in their
I
characters.
can't wait for them to listen to this.
Oh,
No, really.
They're so
no,
good in their
really.
characters, though. Like I commend both of them for how they play their characters and how they stick to their characters so far. And I can't wait for like we've had going back to that one shot with the sausage party. We've had dream sequences for each of the ladies as they've come back to the table, and finally I've gotten Wings is
I am so
Dream
sequence
so excited
planned,
for that. I'm so excited
and
for
a little
that.
bit of background on that, and now we're ready for that. So I can't see what happens after this dream sequence.
I'm very excited for that because I feel like this is going to be our first time really seeing inside of her character, and I feel like that might have been why it took her so long to reply to you, was to really think about how she wanted to play that.
Well, and then on top of that, like when you're 5 levels deep into something and you really want to do something justice, you really want to do the time and the investment that somebody has taken over the last 6 months and give them what they're looking for. With Ren and with Lamora, you guys kind of wear your emotions on your sleeve, and it was really easy to talk to you both. It was really easy to do those dream sequences and make them epic. With Wings, she's a little bit, I don't want to say deeper, but she's a little bit more hidden from the rest of the group. She's only what she appears to be. She doesn't really give anything else.
She'll give little hints here
Yeah.
and there, but nothing for you to really go on. And I think that's why I love her character so
Yeah,
much.
no,
because
for
it's
sure.
so
And it-
mysterious, and it always makes you kind of question, where is she really going and what is her motive? And also because of the species her character is, because she copies
Yeah,
and
she's
everything.
a Kenku as well. So
Exactly.
there was
so.
a lot of play with the Bard Kenku and the Cleric Kenku, and playing the Cleric Kenku, whose wings, sounds of wings flapping is Kennedy's character, against the party and so on. We didn't get to dive into that as much because my character got stabbed in the heart. But
Hell yeah, he did.
so to wrap this part, the happy hour part up, is there are so many, like I think Kate said it best, is like there are so many, like you guys are three sides of the coin. There are so many different ways to go about character creation. It all depends on what you're looking for as your experience, as Justin said, how you have fun, what you do, how much of yourself you want to pour in that character, or where you want to pull those inspirations from. Character creation is an integral part of this game. It's a very fun part of this game. DMs don't limit your player characters into what they can be and what they can't be. Me and Lucas have found that out, that when player agency is taken away, it kind of dulls your whole sense on a campaign, or lessens the height in which you view this game. Don't limit your choices. Don't limit your imagination. Don't limit your experiences. And definitely don't limit your friends. And we'll be
So
back.
deep.
Well, social and cultural aspects of
We
our
love you,
favorite
Ben.
game.
We do.
We'll be back with the verdict on Pog.
All right, you trolls, it's last call!
All right, adventurers, it's last call, and now we're going to give our disappointing opinions on Utopia Cider, Pog, Pineapple, Blood Orange, Pink Guava. Why didn't they call it Pop? That would have been so much better.
I don't know, and I
No.
am
Pog
sorry.
is a popular term.
No, I feel like it would have been PBP because it was blood orange, not just orange.
Kate, with your literalness.
I'm just saying. Okay, so I was disappointed in the flavor, but that's just because I'm not used to ciders, and also pineapple is not my favorite. But I will say that it's hard.
The alcohol content is great.
I agree, but
that's
I
what we can
still
say.
taste candy bar. This is fucking crazy.
I think you need to get your taste buds checked. I'm worried now.
So everybody here at the table has tasted something different from this drink, and I feel like we're tasting different because they're all different drinks. I think Utopia is just not that consistent of a cider company.
I mean, maybe honestly.
This looks like Pog. Pour it in the can. I think my rating out of 4 is, I'm going to give Pog a 1, to be honest with you. And I'm just going to go around the table. Justin, I know you only had a couple sips.
Yeah, if
But-
you don't like alcohol like I do, this is a -20.
It's going to be a 1 for me as well. I drink quite a few ciders, and this was definitely not their best showing.
Yeah, the one that we had before this was definitely like on a scale of 1 to 4, but the Pog is definitely a 1 for me.
I think you guys are gonna have to rate the previous one on the next episode then, because
We can't do 2 ciders in a row.
It'll be down the
Aw.
road.
Yeah.
okay,
I'll
well,
grab
whatever.
another case.
Yeah,
Whatever.
we might have to do some more pre-search.
I do have a drink in mind for next time I'm here.
Yeah, for sure.
Non-alcoholic.
And-
You'll
yeah,
love
no,
it.
it'd be awesome. Kate, you had a chance to sip on the Pog for a little bit. What did you think?
I mean, I agree with you guys. I think it was a 1. It could have had a better flavor, but like I said, going with the alcohol content.
That's how strong it is, right there.
There we go. I think that was pretty good, but I mean, I'm sure you could find another cider that tastes better that has that same alcohol content.
For our final verdict, the average is 1.
Oh, why did you do this to me?
Thanks, Gothar. I appreciate that.
Behind the scenes, I'm not allowed to choose drinks anymore.
Hey, look, you're batting 500 so far. 1 out of 2 is not bad. Just because we chose the wrong one to do the review on doesn't mean you're bad at choosing drinks. Don't
Well,
worry.
to be fair, what I brought tonight, we didn't rate, and it was strawberry Malibu and ginger ale, and so far everyone who tried that loved it. So,
Well, guess what, Kate? You weren't really supposed to be on this episode, but we're glad you're here anyway. Because just like
Ouch.
D&D
Ooh.
campaigns, when you have to get those, you know what? This is coming full circle. I see it right now. Remember when I wanted that 5th at the table? This is why you have the extra
Yep.
player.
Shit happens.
Shit happens. Life happens. I really enjoyed you guys being at the table with me. It's good to actually record you guys.
Let's
and
do it again.
Oh man, this is just a start of it, friends. But it's really good to like get on the other side of the table with you guys and actually be a part of the player group and talk about this kind of stuff with you. And actually get to know you on an even deeper level than just your characters. I know that we have our get-togethers and we have our talks and we have our messages, but this is a truly another form of intimacy where we get to share opinions
Ooh.
about a lifestyle that we've pretty much all chosen.
Getting
Mhm.
steamy in here.
It always is. It's Justin's here.
Justin, if y'all don't know, is the best looking guy in the group.
Lies.
He is.
Brandon
though.
would say that he has the biggest ass, though.
He does.
That's where it
all
matters,
right.
okay? Right there.
It's all
But I
about
mean,
the
Lucas
junk
is
in
the
trunk.
tallest, so
I'm actually only 5'5".
bullshit.
He wears stilts.
I'm 5'5". You're way taller than me. Don't lie to the people.
We're gonna get these guys back again. We're gonna get the other players at our table back
Wait till you
again.
meet
So-
Reggie, guys.
Oh,
You're in
Reginald,
for it.
Brandon, Kennedy. We'll get Deanna for a full session,
Maybe.
maybe. It's been a blast. I thank you guys for coming on this adventure with me and sharing your insight and your expertise and your experiences. And I love you all.
We love you too, Ben.
Thank you guys for coming on. Any last words? Justin, if you want to spout where they can find you at, or if you have any closing comments, go for it, bro.
If you want to listen to some crap music, look up
Oh,
Hawaiian Freak.
shut up.
If you want to bang your head.
Woo.
Ben is the best DM. Highly recommend him.
No,
20
we
out of 10.
No, we don't, because he's our DM. You can't have him. We're very selfish.
We offer him up for $50 an hour.
All right, we can do that.
Can I get at least 50% of that? Lucas, any closing comments, sir?
Not at all. I'm just really looking forward to one D&D and the possibilities it can really hold for the whole player base.
Very curious about that virtual tabletop aspect.
That's the other part that's game changing.
That's a conversation.
So I had an idea for the intro for this. I was thinking something like on the tune of Bob Marley, like one D&D, one D&D. Let's get together and play online. What do you think?
No.
No? All right.
Although I do think one day we'll have to get enough mics for our entire group to be on the cast, because that would just be amazing.
We should be playing D&D.
I think I'm gonna need a bigger
Exactly.
mixing board for all that.
Yes.
I got you.
All right, Kate. Any closing thoughts?
D&D is amazing. I really found a whole new world and something that I have a lot of passion into. So,
I love Snow White.
everyone who's kind
From
of
Star
looking
Wars, bro.
into it because of Stranger Things or just curiosity, give it a shot, and we definitely got to do this way more, because this has
I hope
been
my
too
brother's
much
listening and he gets curious and wants to play.
fun. Bryce is never going to play D&D. No
Never
matter
say
how
never.
awesome it is.
Ne-
Okay,
never
he's
say never.
tried for like 10 years,
he made
all
a
right?
character.
You got that far.
Maybe he just needs the forever DM to show him the way.
I mean,
Absolutely.
he might, because you got me, so maybe.
All right, friends. And with that being said, this is the Forever DM telling you, remember, life's an adventure. Roll with it.